afternoon.
Good afternoon.
Thank you
Thank
for
you.
taking the time to, chat with me today to discuss, reflect back on our journey together in helping you get into your dream program at Johns Hopkins. But let's recap back. We'll start with where it all started, which was you thinking about your master's plans. Just tell us a little bit about what you were studying, why you thought about a master's, and what you wanted to do. Let's just start with that.
Okay, so just for context, I just graduated and I was a biology major. And I was thinking, so when you're into STEM, there are multiple ways to go about after undergrad. And people usually, especially in biology, people either take the pre-med side of things or academia research side of things, or people directly want to go and work somewhere in the industry, which is a little hard to get with only a bachelor's degree.
Okay.
So I definitely knew I wanted to do grad school, but I was not sure if I wanted to apply for a master's program or a PhD directly. And my reasoning for that was the degree that I have done at undergrad level at Ashoka was a general biology degree. So I got to taste different fields in biology, and then I got to like pick up different things of my interest and do electives and coursework on that. But I was never able to go really deep into one subject or one field in biology, and that's what I thought a master's would enable me. A PhD, on the other hand, would become really hard because I was not passionate enough to give 5 years to a particular subject. And I wanted to study it more before I commit to it. And that's
Yes.
why I chose to go through and do a master's first.
Cool. And then when you were looking, I know that there was, while we came across and we interacted for the first time, what made you think that, working with a consultant like LilacBuds would benefit you, right? What are the advantages that you saw in working or getting help from somebody?
So I was pretty sure about what I wanted to do and what kind of programs I wanted to apply for, but I wasn't sure of how I put my profile in front of a university and how is that presented properly. So one of the core things that I looked for a consultant was to help me. I had all these thoughts in my head, but I wanted to put them together and put it out there properly, which is in the sense of helping me write an SOP, um, not more write, edit, help me think about it. I think I had a lot of initial brainstorming sessions with
Yeah.
one of our consultants here, and I think that really helped me because I was just throwing out thoughts and I was like, okay, help me put this together into something that actually makes sense. And
Correct.
in I think I had a list of places I wanted to apply for, and there were like 40 places, and of course I can't apply to 40 of them. But I think you really helped me understand what kind of places to look for according to my profile. And that is because, so I think helping me shortlist the schools as
Yeah.
well as working on the SOP part of things
Yeah.
was
So,
mainly
so
what
let
I
me,
was
no,
able.
no, so I mean, absolutely right. Right. So we did all these steps and we'll come to some of them. But I remember my first conversation with you was more about, the kind of research you had done and what you were doing at that
Mhm.
point in time and the importance of that research in the context of your applications, right? Because this PhD versus master's conundrum also meant you needed to have published a few papers and, be ready through your bachelor's degree. Some of it was missing, some of it was on its way, right? Or still happening. This I'm talking around October last year, I guess. And now here we are in June. When we reflect back, right? Like the readiness was not fully there for a PhD program. The commitment, as you said, was not fully there from your end to commit 5 years. So our shortlist had to balance a possibility of getting into a PhD, but also keep the route open to exit and get into the industry at that point in time. So two major things to balance while making the list, right? Tell me now how you went from 40 to the eight or so programs that we applied to, and which were those eight, of course, for the benefit of everybody.
Mm, so there were multiple factors that I considered, and one thing that I would say LilacBuds had given me and has given me so far is confidence. I was extremely underconfident when I was shortlisting schools because I was like, oh, these are dream schools and I'm never going to get here. Johns Hopkins is something I contemplated 600 times, and I was like, do I want to apply? Do I don't want to apply? Especially because one, it's in the US. Two, the application fee is a little high, but I was like, do I want to take that bet? Because it's also a school that has a GRE optional sort of in their application, and I hadn't written the GRE. And I was very underconfident of getting there without the GRE, being an international Indian student. But thanks to Priya Shankar and pushing me to apply, I think that's one of the schools I applied to. Otherwise, I also looked at different places. So I did a semester abroad in Australia during my undergrad. So I did know that I want to go back or at least apply to some places in Australia,
Yeah.
as well as I looked at a couple of other schools. So we looked at not just rankings, but labs, the kind of labs that are there, and what kind of connections do these universities have with a lot of industry partners? Are there,
Yeah.
because if I choose not to do a PhD right after, I should have options of even just
Yeah.
working and getting a
Yeah.
job. So based on all of that and a lot of like geography, choosing countries, I think I was
So
able to come
we
up
chose,
with
I think we chose what, four countries at least. Australia was a
yeah,
couple of
yes,
universities, or one, it was Sydney and
yeah. So
UNSW. Which one two did we?
UNSW and Melbourne,
Melbourne,
Melbourne and
UNSW and
UNS,
Melbourne. And then we did Imperial London, and we did
Imperial
Edinburgh,
London, University of Edinburgh. We
Heidelberg
did
in Germany,
Heidelberg University, yes, in
yes,
Germany. We did Utrecht in Netherlands,
Utrecht in Netherlands,
uh,
that's right.
which turns out for
Michigan,
Ashoka students, and
Michigan, Ann
Michigan,
Arbor, yeah.
Ann
And there
Arbor
was
in
one
the
more, I
US,
think there was one more in the US
Trinity College
besides
Dublin.
Hopkins.
I was contemplating between University of Chicago and Hopkins, but I
Okay.
think I ended
We
up
only did
applying to
Hopkins,
Hopkins.
yes. Okay. All right, cool. So this is good list. We started off. You realize that this is like a good healthy mix of where I have been before, which is Australia, where I want to go, maybe Hopkins or Imperial, those are top of your mind. You made a
Yeah, my
ranking,
dream
like this is my
schools were
priority
yeah.
order. Yeah, go ahead. What are your dream schools?
We did a whole dream reach backup sort of situation, and
Yeah.
I think Hopkins and Imperial were top of my list, and then I had I think Edinburgh and Michigan after, and and then the rest right after that.
Yes.
But one of my first, so I think the entire process started. I started applying. I think the first one was Imperial, and that's the first result I got as well. Um, and surprisingly, that was a positive result that I got, and one of my dream schools achieved. So that was a big, I
Relief.
think,
Massive relief at that
relief.
point in time. That you were like, at least I'm going somewhere and there's my master's plans are on still. That's how it went.
Yes. I
Right?
think
Uh,
during the entire time I was applying, I had this recurring dream of I'm not gonna get anywhere. But and I
okay.
think I was able to prove that wrong and get into multiple places.
Wow. Okay.
Uh, but yeah, I think
So when
thanks
Imperial
to
happened, you got that admit, but of course before that you had taken a lot of steps on your CV, on your story that you're presenting through the SOP as well. What about that part, right? Like things that you had done but could not share properly or could not put in a manner that admissions team can look at it as something that connects with what they are doing in their campus. How did all this get done during the course of, of course, working with us over those 3 months? How did things change for you in terms of your,
mm,
storytelling?
I think yeah, the biggest part of an SOP is the way you tell the story. And something I learned while writing, I don't know, like 8 drafts for each of the SOPs was to look at so if suppose I've done 3 internships. I'm not going to list them as, oh, I did this, I did this, I did this, and this is what I learned from it. That's not something that's interesting to read. And initially, when I was outlining my SOP, I wrote down, okay, these are some points that I definitely do want to put in and show that this is the kind of work I've done and these are the skills I've picked up from
Yeah.
there. But I think the most important part of any of these was to pick up an anecdote and start with one. So
Yes.
I took a very personal anecdote of um, taking a experience of a hospital setting because I was hospitalized myself. And I connected it to a broader range of because my interests lie in infection and immunity and women's reproductive health. I picked up my own story, connected it to how I see women around me, and then I connected that with what the program offers and how I can use that program to achieve a bigger goal of, oh, this is
Absolutely.
what I want to do in the future. So
I love the way you
I think,
summarized it so beautifully that, the connection from your personal experience, your professional exposure through the internships, the academic growth you seek to further deepen the knowledge pool that you have, and then the final goal of using that for the larger betterment of society. That I think captures like the pretty much the entire spectrum of what we really try to do it. I think you put it really beautifully out there. Thank you for that. Of course, you had to worry about the GRE, which is another point I want to touch about. Why did you decide not to do the GRE? You were worried about it. You're too late. What happened? Tell just again for the benefit of the
so
audience.
yeah, I think I started thinking about applying for masters a little later than most people would do. I think people start a year in advance, and I felt like I was too behind because I was still figuring out what I wanted to do because I was confused if I wanted to actually maybe take a break or do a master's. And then when I came to my senses, I realized no, I don't want to take a break and I can't take a break, and I would like to do a master's because that's just who I am. Um, that's when I was looking at schools, I realized, okay, a lot of schools don't require the GRE, at least in the Europe. But in the US, a lot of schools do. And initially, I was very skeptical of applying to the US, and that is why I just did not prepare for GRE. And then I realized as my semesters went by, I should have probably prepared myself for a GRE. But I did know that if wherever I applied, I do have some sort of skill set to show, regardless of the GRE. So the only place that I did apply which had a GRE optional was Hopkins. And they had a very specific question about if you've not written the GRE, then how can you prove that you have those quantitative
Quantitative and
and
statistical skills
reasoning
required for the
skills
program. That's right.
required for the program, right? And I think that is with schools with who have the GRE optional. And I think I was able to put a bunch of things that I have done together to show that I do have that skill set, and that worked.
So and that you've done a lot of good research and had taken some coursework which was relevant. So both of those things I think definitely fell in your
Yes,
favor.
yes.
And that's what I think
So
you wrote in that little
I
supplemental
think
passage that was required, right? That why do you think you should be
yes.
given the waiver for the GRE in general?
So I think I
Uh,
have done a lot of yeah, I've done a lot of coursework in statistics and research methods, and I've done a lot of like biostatistics sort of work. And I've also taken courses on quantitative reasoning. So I took bits from that, and in my own internships, I've applied a lot of data analytics, and I've done so much. So I basically took examples of all of that and put that in. So,
Good. So first you had these sleepless nights about not getting in anywhere. Then Imperial came in, so the sleepless nights hopefully went away. And then the anxiety of applying to all the other schools started. Michigan Ann Arbor first sent a rejection, and then Michigan Ann Arbor first sent a rejection to you. After that, you
yeah.
got into Hopkins. What was that journey like for you?
So the way these admits are coming in, I think um, when I got a rejection from like when I got a rejection from Michigan, I was like, okay, maybe US is not the place for me. And because I'd only applied to two, and one was like a dream school, and the other one I was like, isse hi nahi. Like I've not gotten it from here, then
Now,
how am I
Michigan
gonna
तो
get
मिल
it?
ही जाएगा. If Michigan मिल गया तो I'll hope for
हाँ,
Hopkins. But given that Michigan said no,
exactly.
Hopkins तो wrap up ही हो गया
Then
है. That's
how
what
am
it
I
is.
supposed to dream about Hopkins? And I just thought, okay, अभी US हो गया, अभी हम देखेंगे everywhere else, and all the other admits I'd gotten, I was trying to make decisions between the rest.
Got it. Got it.
Uh,
Yeah.
yeah,
So
but
when
I
Hopkins
think
came in, they didn't actually give you what you wanted. So talk a little bit about that, and then how you managed to get what you wanted as well.
okay, so I received a status update from Hopkins on my email, and I was like, okay, what is going to happen? So a lot of the Europe, like European schools, don't have a lot of interviews. So in Imperial, for that matter, did not have an interview. So I was not sure if Hopkins would do or not. And I was like, okay, what is the status update going to tell me? Did I get in? Am I being offered an interview? And the email said, oh, your application was really great, but we regret to inform you that we can't give you the program because of, I think, your application not, I don't know,
Yeah, you're
it's
not
really
like the best fit.
competitive.
You're not the best fit for this program. Why don't you
Yeah, for
consider
this
another?
program. And then
So
they said,
biotech, I think what
but
was the
we
masters in
want to,
biotech they didn't give you, but they wanted to give you a which other program did they offer you instead of the biotech?
no, no. So what I'd applied for was a Master's of Science in Molecular Microbiology and Immunology. And
Correct.
what they'd offered me was a Master's of Health in the same department. But it was instead of a 2-year program, they basically asked me to join a 9-month program.
Hmm.
And that was also not the offer. They offered an interview for that.
Correct.
So I was like, right. And I was not very happy about it because that's not what I intended to do, because the other program was just like no research, no labs, only like a library-based thesis and just like
Yeah.
coursework. And that's not something that I wanted
And,
to
and
do.
and too short as well. So
Too short, yeah. It was
wasn't
nine
really the kind
months.
of thing that you wanted to go from a career perspective, wasn't the right fit for your goals.
Yeah.
So you took the interview call irrespective, decided not to just say no to the interview, and then started a discussion.
So So I think I had sat down, prepared for this interview based on everything that I've like all the research that I had done, and picked up points, read a lot about Hopkins, and the people that I could potentially want to work with. And then the interview started. The funny part was the first 5 minutes of the interview were nothing related to academia or academics for that matter. The first 5 minutes was just us talking to each other about, oh, what do you like to do outside of just studying and, science? And I'm extremely passionate about baking, and that's when I started talking about all of that. So I think the first 5 minutes, the interviewer also noticed that I have a tattoo, and then she started talking to me about the tattoo. So it was like, and it was really strange because I was like, okay, this is not what I was hoping to step into this interview. I'd gone in saying, I don't know if I even want to take the program they're giving me, but I'm just going to go and talk to them.
Yeah.
But when she started talking to me about my research, I think
Mhm.
because I'm very passionate about the research that I do, I was very happy to speak to her. She's like, oh, tell me a little bit about this project on your CV and like, this research that you did. And I'm someone who is working on a thesis at the moment and who's about to working on submitting the thesis. So I was like, if you want to talk to me about my project, I will sit and speak to you about it for 2 hours. I'm happy to. So I think I just started yapping about my project. And that's when it clicked to them saying, oh, you seem like a better fit for the 2-year program, the one that you initially applied for. And in the middle of the interview, she stopped me and she said, oh, you seem like a better fit. I think I'm going to move you back to that cohort.
Correct.
So I was like, oh, I'm glad I convinced you of it. And I did ask them, why did you consider shifting my offer? Like, why did you
Correct.
want to
Mhm.
not give me this? That is
Correct.
because they thought they didn't know enough about the research that I was doing, because they didn't
Mhm.
see the depth, because there are all the essay questions and the application questions had very limited
Mhm.
word like what counts.
Correct.
So there
Correct.
wasn't as much as I could have written in all of
Mm.
those. But when I
Yeah.
started talking about it, she understood the kind of research I was doing.
Correct.
So I think that convinced them. And then I think the conversation just went really well after I started talking about the people I want to work with. I like named professors and the kind of work they do and like very
All the
specific
background work that
niches
you
of
had done was kind of now
yes.
playing out. But more importantly, at
Yeah.
the end of it, there was something else you took back from them, and that is that is what I would
And
like you
I
to
think
share.
in the very end, she was just like, "Oh, you know what? I'm gonna offer you the 2-year program right here, right
Mhm.
now, and I
Mhm.
really, really hope you join us."
Okay.
And that was, I think,
And I will consider you for the
the
scholarship.
best.
That was, I think, that was the most important element I thought you took away.
Yes, yes.
That we will put your name up for the scholarship as well,
Um,
right? Or we'll grant you some percentage scholarship as well
yes,
to attend our
yes,
program.
yes,
That I think was like unbelievable because you went in to just discuss getting in into the program, but you came out because scholarships were really important to you. I remember you during the shortlisting stage going through all the scholarship plans, like that are all the
yeah,
scholarships that are available, and you were definitely looking at the ROI. Specifically, US is expensive. Visa stay back
yes,
periods are a worry. Imperial was already looking like a good safety net in hand, cheaper,
yeah,
but also,
yeah,
also the ROI was probably higher at Hopkins overall if you could get that scholarship.
yeah.
You didn't expect that scholarship. You got one. How did that make you
I
feel? Like, what is the end? Like, you did. I remember you telling me you didn't believe your ears what she said until it came in
Yeah,
writing.
yeah, I couldn't. I absolutely couldn't. I think after the interview, I've just sat on my bed for 10 minutes and I was like, did I hallucinate this? Did she say this for real? Am I dreaming about this? And I think, and then I was like, you know what, unless and until it comes in written format, I'm not going to believe what has been
Hmm.
said. Uh,
Correct.
but I was happy about it and they were really quick. I think in less than 6 hours, they sent me the offer letter along with the scholarship. And they're
Hmm.
like, oh, we are offering you a 75% scholarship in your second year. And I was like, okay, wow, this is everything that I wanted out of this. So, yeah, it was really
So today,
unexpected, but
So, I mean, to look back now at this whole journey, right now you're sitting waiting for your visa to come through. But while you were at that, if you're looking back at this whole journey, telling somebody something to your juniors today, your juniors will be coming in saying, hey, we are going to start
yeah.
this process now. What are a couple of things you will tell your juniors at Ashoka or elsewhere, bio students elsewhere around the country when they are applying? What are the key things that they can do better based on your experience? What are things that they must do absolutely, which you also did? uh, and possibly, how can they get a leg up overall compared to just doing it by themselves versus working with us?
I think taking help is very relieving because this entire process is really, really anxiety inducing. At least it was for me. And I know it is for a lot of other people. Um, because you are a 20, 21-year-old trying to put everything you've done so far into one application and trying to show that, this is me and please take me in is what your application is saying, right? But I think key things that you should do when you're applying, one, very, very important, is choose the people that you want recommendations from. Um, I think that is key thing that even LilacBuds is like behind me, ki, ask for the recommendation letter, get it ready as soon as possible. And a lot of people, so a lot of my reco letters are from professors that I worked under, did courses with, and had a good relationship with. So also all of these kind of people keep the recommendation letter confidential, right?
Yes.
So you need to at least try to do this at least 3 months in advance and give them a notice that I will keep bothering you, but make sure that they're aware of the deadlines and that you need letters
Yes.
from them because
Yeah.
every place would have a different requirement because you might
Yeah.
apply to different programs in different places. So I think that is one key thing. Apart from that, I was always someone who was just thinking about my SOP and what I would want to write, and that for a very long time. but I would say jot it down somewhere because you tend to forget uh, certain points, even if it's in the back of your head. And even
Mhm.
if you don't have to write it for the next 2 months, if you have something in mind, put it down somewhere so that when you have to actually write it, you have some points to start off with. Um, Apart from that, I think don't be underconfident.
Okay.
Believe in yourself.
Don't,
Um,
yes, believe in
I
yourself.
think,
That's very,
and
very critical. That's true.
I think LilacBuds really helped me with that in the sense of everything. Whenever I would write an SOP draft and send it over to get it checked, I would be like to get edits and feedback. I would be like, this is the worst draft I've written in my life. I don't know what I have written. But I got a lot of constructive feedback that really helped me understand the kind of things that I'm supposed to write about, what am I supposed to say, how am I supposed to say it. So I'm grateful for the team to help me with that. And yeah, and basically, yeah, I think the most important thing in the entire process is just to believe in yourself because things will fall in place as you do and just not be underconfident with the things that you're doing because I'm sure you've done great things.
Absolutely. Thank you so much, Manvi, for giving such detailed insights into the process. I'm excited. I mean, as a fellow Johns Hopkins alum, all I can say is you're going to have a great time. Definitely interact with amazing biology students, people who are doing cutting edge research, cutting edge new product development, doctors who are kind of pushing the bar on what's possible. Engage yourself in the campus wholly, and do not restrict yourself to just your department, because there's a lot of interdisciplinary learning that happens with IT folks, with the tech folks, with the mechanical engineering folks. So you'll get to learn a lot of new things, and I look forward to hearing good stories from you once you're there.
Yeah, excited. Thank you
All
so
right,
much.
cool. Thank you, Manvi. Take care.